We're in front of a school in Eagle, Idaho, and while you might think schools are boring, this is actually a business. And this business is busy turning 300 kids, K through 12, into future business owners. It's a private school that makes money. I'm gonna interview Tessa, who manifested this entire dream from a piece of paper to this magnificent property right behind us. Let's get into it. So you manifested this from a piece of paper. How the heck did that happen?
So my daughter and my children, we were going to school. My husband had an experience at school that was really, really negative, right? He has ADHD and he's dyslexic. And we didn't want that experience for our children. And we were getting ready to go into the public school system. Our local public school had lost their accreditation. And so we were looking for alternatives. And so we went into some private schools and it just wasn't right for us. And so we decided we can do it ourselves. We can do it better. And so I wrote down on a piece of paper what I would see as the perfect school, right? So I wrote down all the pillars.
So you sat down at like a kitchen table. Do you remember where you were sitting when you wrote this down?
You know, I was in a McDonald's.
So as you're sitting in McDonald's, you're writing out your core values. What are core values? Some people don't know what that even means.
So I sat down and I was looking about what do I want out of a school? What do I want my kids to learn? And what is a whole student when they come out of our building, right? So I sat down and I just wrote them all out. So emotional intelligence was really high on the list for me. I wanted our kids to be able to come out having those tools in their tool belt, be able to handle anxiety and stresses of today, right? So we start our morning every day here with emotional intelligence and mindfulness. And then second would be, of course, financial education. So that financial literacy was such a core element to what we were going to do, right?
Why do you need to do that? I mean, I learned so much about financial education in high school.
I'm sure you did, right?
I don't remember one thing that was super valuable. I remember my friends, and I remember cute girls that I was trying to kiss for basically 4 years.
Yeah, and isn't that a shame that you went to school for 12 years and didn't get anything out of it, right? That's real life applicable knowledge.
I honestly feel like the teachers and the school were just checking a box, and it was their legal responsibility to some degree. I don't know how school systems are set up, so I'm going to be asking you obviously a lot of questions. Guys, this is such an intriguing topic. I promise you will get so much from this topic. It will just blow your mind. So I didn't get a lot. I saw the schools checking boxes, and when I left, I was like, why didn't I just graduate early as a junior or maybe as a sophomore and just got the hell out of there, and I could have moved on to making money? So how are you fixing that with your core values?
Well, traditionally schools were set up to create assembly line workers, right? And we really haven't changed that over the several hundred years that the public school system has been around, right? And so for us, our goal is to make students that have applicable knowledge, right? So that they can go out in the world and start their own businesses or be able to have that foundation, that financial literacy, because we do know that there are students that are going to come into our doors who may not want to start a business, but if you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, you have to run a fiscally sound home, right? That's so important. If you're going to be a doctor, how do you run a practice, right? If you're going to be an engineer or an attorney, whatever it is, you have to have the foundations, right?
Even if you're going to end up being an employee for somebody else's company?
Yes, absolutely.
Don't you want to know how to invest in other companies and like how to be smart with your money?
Yes.
I didn't learn any of that stuff.
Investing. How do you pay taxes? Why don't we learn how to pay taxes in school?
I'm 40 and I just barely learned how to pay taxes 5 years ago. You know how I did it? I hired a really, really great CPA. Wow, this is freaking cool. So we are in Innovate Academy. Did you come up with the name?
And we were sitting down in actually AJ's office, and we were coming up with all these different names. And we settled on innovate because it was an action word, right? As a verb, we innovate here, right? So we're creating innovators who are going to change the world, change everything around us, right?
Okay, so let's go. I want to make sure we don't skip over this because this is the most important part. You're in McDonald's. You're writing down your core values. You write down how many core values do you have part of your school?
So our 5 pillars of Innovate Academy are mindfulness, financial literacy, personal responsibility, service and community, and life skills. So here at Innovate Academy, we believe that with all those skills that you're learning here, that you're going to be a full student that'll be able to go into the world and actually be able to be successful.
So if you could summarize why a public school is not really the way to go nowadays, what would you say? A couple sentences about that.
You're sitting down and you're staring at a chalkboard all day, right? now kids are more even sucked into the computers. They're not even like looking at their teachers. They're not even like talking to each other, right? We want to have that face-to-face, have applicable hands-on experience for our kids. They're getting out there, they're doing hands-on projects. They're doing Shark Tank, they're learning business skills. Everything connects to each other, right?
Love it.
Having
So they're
that
collaborating.
connection.
They're collaborating. Okay,
right?
cool. So I walk in, I see a big, beautiful building. You guys have obviously spent a lot of money here. This is nicer than a public school. A public school is kind of dark, dreary, whatever, and they smell like schools, which are like a mix between old businesses and hospitals.
Yeah.
Yours smells like money. I feel like not anybody can come here, right?
So it is tuition based, right? So people sacrifice a lot to be able to come here.
So parents that believe, I want my kids to get out of the public domain. I want them to be in a school that's going to get them ready for the real world, real applicable skills based on your guys' core values. I want my kids going here. They're paying tuition.
They're paying tuition to come here.
People are driving an hour, 2 hours to drop their kids off here, or is it
So
all really close?
Yeah, in the valley, from start to finish, it's probably only about a 45-minute drive. But we have people who are driving 45 minutes a day to get here, right?
So they believe in it that much.
They believe in it that much, and they're sacrificing a lot to be able to pay for that for their kids. I mean, many families, grandparents are chipping in.
I love it. Okay, so I come in, obviously a parent, I believe in this. I'm willing to drive 45 minutes for this.
Yeah.
Where are my kids going?
Okay, so here we have all kinds of really fun places. So classrooms are up and down. So should we just get started?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, let's do it.
so come over here.
So how many kids total? 300,
So 300
right?
students here right now. This is our elementary finance
Yes.
classroom.
Yes.
So come in here and I'll show you kind of what we're doing in here. Kids are out for the summer, but let me show you some books that we're learning. This is what they're learning in elementary school, right? So how to turn 100 into $1 million, right?
I didn't learn this when I was in freaking school. Are you kidding me? How to turn $100 into $1 million in elementary school?
Elementary, yeah.
This is where I want my kids to go. I don't want what the heck? Who designed the curriculum?
Gloria Nagel, as well as the whole board, and we've been developing it over time.
Finance 101 for kids. Where's the stingy books that I had to read when I was in school?
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah,
right?
To Kill a Mockingbird.
And we do read traditional novels as well, but so these are like the Tuttle Twin books that we read as well, and they're all based on economic principles. So like this one is the Search for Atlas is based on Atlas Shrugged, right?
Oh, great.
So
Some people are not going to like that. If you don't like Atlas Shrugged, I'm so sorry, but that is a phenomenal book.
there's ones about the pencil, right? So every pit of the pencil has to be put together, and they all come from different places. So assembling that is about markets and about, all these different economic principles. So
I love it.
Really, really cool. So we're learning all kinds of things here.
So what
playing great
age group
games.
is in here?
So this is elementary. Preschoolers as well are getting finance.
So what I'm hearing is that when I was in school, we'd go to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and we had very specific teachers. We didn't commingle. We didn't use the same rooms. It was like segregated, 100%.
Yeah.
Right? Are you telling me that people in kindergarten through sixth grade are all using this classroom kind of interchangeably?
Yeah, so this is like a specials classroom where they come in here. But like what you're saying though too, the K through 12 model is really our core to our model, right? Is having like the high schoolers come and teach and help and be mentors to our younger kids.
That's amazing, actually.
Right, yeah. So our middle schoolers, they come in and they read to our kids and they hook up together, and there's just so many studies that when you have that peer-to-peer development,
What do they
those
say?
kids
Do
just
you
take
know?
off.
Do you know about the learning pyramid?
Teach me about it.
Okay, so the learning pyramid says that we remember 5% of what we hear and see, but and it goes down, pyramid, pyramid, pyramid. We retain 15% of what we do, but we retain 95% of what we teach other people.
Mm-hmm.
So what you guys are doing is you're teaching it, and then you're having them also from a leadership standpoint and going out and like leading economies and leading businesses. You guys are having junior high and high schoolers come down and mentor. Dude, that alone is worth the tuition.
Yeah.
Like watching you guys get my kids to teach other kids, that's worth millions of dollars of value for the rest of their lives.
And when you see like, when you
Am
have
I the only one geeking over how cool that is?
but mentors help you more in life than anything else, right?
But you know what's funny is I fought that for all my 20s. I was so afraid to hire somebody. I was like, oh, I'll figure it out myself. But if I was taught that that's the way it should have been, is collaborative effort and you have to learn from other people, It wasn't until I was literally 29 years old that I learned who is the answer, not how. It was always like, who's going to give that to me? I didn't learn that. And my father, when I hired my first mentor, my dad's like, what are you doing spending money on a mentor? Can't figure it out on your own? It's a broken education.
Well, when you put it peer-to-peer and kids who have mentors versus kids who don't, they're like 10 years ahead of the game, right? It's going into life. So it really makes a huge difference having a mentor. And we're bringing in mentors for our middle school and high schoolers too to help them take advantage and start businesses.
Okay, let's show me those classes. So personally, I believe, and you believe this too, is that the biggest thing that we're facing right now is our children being educated now will lead our country in the future. And so when you're teaching your kids to be, archaic from 200-year-old, let me stamp the thing and move it down the conveyor belt, and I basically work on a manufacturing line. When they get out into the workforce, they're like, I don't know what to do. Somebody tell me what to do. So we have a bunch of walking zombies basically waiting to put their umbilical cord into somebody else's business.
Yeah. And this is the problem that is our kids today are going to face, right? With AI.
Yeah.
We have to teach kids how to critically think. And that is the one thing that we have to do. If kids aren't walking out of here knowing how to critically think, we did not do our job, right? You don't have to write a perfectly grammatically perfect paper anymore, right? It doesn't have to be sentence structure, doesn't have to be perfect. But what does have to be perfect is that you are going to own your own thoughts, right? And that's all we're going to own in the future.
Okay, so what room are we at here?
So this is our classroom right here.
Cool. So this is still elementary.
Still elementary.
Are we going?
Do you
Which
want to
way
go
are we
into
going?
the back?
I want to go everywhere.
Everywhere.
Upstairs, downstairs.
Let's talk
and walk so we can see everything, because I want to see this whole entire thing. Faculty lounge.
You
guys give candy to the faculty?
Oh, our PTO takes good care of our faculty. It's amazing. I mean, look we are set up for the circus here right now.
Hold on, don't judge me. This is really
As
great.
a kid, I'm sure Pace always wanted to go into the teacher's lounge.
Oh, I did, and I stole candy out of the teacher's lounge all the time. I'm going fishing in Eagle, Idaho right now for some Swedish fish. So this starts as paper, okay?
Starts as paper.
It started as a paper idea.
Pipe dream, right?
Pipe dream. Did you build this or did you buy this building?
So we bought this building. This building was actually started by the Furby guy. He built this.
Whoa, so you know it's good.
Oh yeah. He built it for an art school and didn't really work out. Then the public school actually bought this building.
So this was a public school?
This was a public school. So there was a middle school here before and a high school. West Ada decided to sell it, and we saw it as an amazing opportunity. We had to snag it.
Okay, show me what's down here.
Okay, so we have our literacy classroom, and this is our 4th grade classrooms right now. So it's super fun and cute back here.
Oh wow, AJ! Hey, look, the teacher AJ Osborne's in here. So I want to talk about this for just a minute while AJ's in here. You talked about how you bring in mentors from outside the school to teach your high schoolers and your junior high schoolers. What does that mean specifically?
So we have a whole committee they're dedicated to finding community members to come in, and they do speaking engagements where they teach the kids about accounting and about.
So these are actual business professionals.
Business
these aren't
professionals.
people, no offense to teachers. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I love teachers. They're amazing. But there's something different when you're like, I want to learn how to balance my checkbook from a guy who owns self-storage facilities and 3 Tundras. You know what I'm saying? I want to learn from somebody who's doing the job, not from somebody who read it in a book, got a certificate and says, I was really good at learning and taking tests. You're bringing in people that are operators of businesses, and they're mentoring people by coming in as guest speakers. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, yes. We bring them in, and they teach all the different principles, right? It's such an amazing opportunity for kids to deep dive into different subjects in different industries, and real estate being one. We have tech people who come in, all different industries. So it's really an amazing opportunity because, too, it opens the kids' world up to, we have this traditional thought, it's the doctor, it's the attorney jobs, it's this.
Firefighter.
But there's so much more.
Police officer, doctor, attorney.
Yep.
And that's it.
Well, that's what we think as the top jobs, the top money-making jobs, right? And there's just so much more opportunity than that. So let's open our kids' world up.
You don't want to be a doctor, okay?
No.
All the doctors out there come and invest in my business. And they go to me and they're 40, 50 years old, and they go, I wish I got started in real estate earlier, but the option was not available to me. Nobody taught it to me. And so you guys are teaching real estate in the school too?
Yeah, so in middle school, we do lessons about like the Burr method and doing different asset classes, CRE or commercial real estate, and all kinds of different methods of doing real estate.
You manifest the idea, you write down the core principles. What was the first step? Like, how did I get the building? How did I get the money? How did I buy this?
We started in a one-room schoolhouse. It was this little tiny yellow building that was so adorable. And we just started with 30 students. And this was 4 years ago. We're going into our 5th year now.
How did you find the students?
So I just cold called everybody I could find, right? I held open houses, I knocked doors. We were hungry and we just search for the students. Right?
You probably already knew some of the parents in the neighborhoods that were like, I wish something like this existed.
Yes.
Because
that resonated with our core values, right?
Basically what you have, here's what my understanding is that you have public schools. What's the one that is like very interactive?
We have charter schools here in Idaho.
What's a charter school?
So a charter school it's not a public school, but it has public funding. It's independent. It's ran by like a management company. It doesn't use tuition dollars. So they still have to uphold to certain standards by the state.
Okay, there's something called...
Oh, like a Montessori?
Montessori.
Yeah, Montessori.
Okay, so my kids,
Montessori's...
my wife always liked taking her kids to Montessori's when they were like really young, just so they can get them active and doing all sorts of stuff. Show them how to paint things and do things and like very tactical things. How is this different than a Montessori?
Yeah, so Montessori is really focused on like those key like kinetic skills, right? And they're aimed more towards younger grades. You know, they interactive play, right? So that's a really core feature of the Montessori. Now for Innovate Academy, we do have like a traditional setting, right? We do have kids who are being led by discussion, but we have the whole VARC system, right? So doing visual, doing kinetic, doing writing and reading and all the VARC system part, right? But it's really hands-on. So in our classrooms, you know, here we have like a breakout room where they're going to be really collaborative and doing a lot of hands-on projects. And so that's a really key feature of us.
Okay, so you got Montessori, public, charter, private, and then you.
And then, we're private. So
yeah, but you're different.
But we're different. We're different than other private schools. And it's really that business finance part that's
why
really
I'm so interested in this. It's the business finance part. Who cares that you're a public school? Are you actually teaching your kids how to be entrepreneurs? Or work with entrepreneurs, invest with entrepreneurs, understand how to balance a budget inside their own house. Like, what the heck?
So something that's really cool at Innovate is we do classroom economy. So our whole behavior management system is based on this classroom economy. So kids have to get jobs and they have to pay bills. They have to learn how to manage their budgets and they have to buy their desk. So
what?
They have to buy their desk. And so if they had to pay a monthly lease to the teacher until they can pay off the desk. But they can also buy their neighbor's desk too and get that lease payment to them.
What? How do they get extra money from their job? They work extra hours. What do they do?
Yeah, so they also can get bonuses based on, you know, behavior things as well, or they can get fines removed from them. So they're practicing that credit and that debit process every day. So to help them learn how to do ledgers and to do budgets, right?
Can they go bankrupt?
They can go bankrupt, and the kids do. Kids mismanage their finances, right? So we have opportunities where
adults if you mismanage your finances, make a comment down below, please, because I know you mismanage your finances, and this class would have helped you. If I sat next to you, I would not only own my desk, but I would own your desk as well, and you'd be renting from me, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And kids start tons of businesses in class. We give them the opportunity that they can get a business license from the teacher, and then they can start their own business. And kids do. They make products to sell to our classmates.
Okay, so I'm seeing this right here. Check this out. So this is what she's talking about right here, guys. Check it out. Paycheck is $60 a week. Rent is $100 a month. Here's your jobs: line leader, substitute, paper monitor, door holder, calendar helper, pencil sharpener, emptier. All the jobs that everybody was supposed to be doing in elementary school in the first place, you guys are actually attributing a paycheck to them.
Yeah.
You got the resetter, the floor monitor, pledge leader, librarian, shoelace tire, problem solver, teacher's helper. If you do any of these things over here, okay, first offense, if behavior actions impact others negatively. Second offense for not following directions, rudeness, dishonesty, missing work, messy desk or cubby, poor line etiquette. Ooh, and you can get some, dude, I would be doing the rewards. I would, Ben, I would have bought your desk, bro. I would have bought your desk.
You think you'd own my desk, bro?
You and I would probably start a monopoly.
Yeah.
And it would be, you and me it would be just a big conglomerate, Pace and Ben. We would own the whole school. This would be great. First time listening, you get a bonus. Being on task, kind acts, helping a friend, best effort, excellent quality of work. You get $1 to $30 bonuses.
Yeah. So there's lots of opportunities to get more money, right? But it's really making those little businesses in the classroom where they have that opportunity to have that passing of money to each other, and they're counting money.
Take me back to this. I remember sitting in English class learning things. I'm like, history? Why am I learning about a war that is not pertinent to anything we're doing anymore?
But Pace, don't you use the quadratic formula every day?
All the time. And the Pythagorean theorem?
Yeah, it's so important. But you know, and that kind of creates some critical thinkers, right? So there's a place for that, but...
She's trying to be nice. I'm going to be the one that, guys, I could have gone without all of those things for what I ended up doing. Now, if you want to be an engineer, you definitely need to know those things. But I didn't want to be an engineer. I knew that you could have asked me at age 3, do you want to be an engineer? No, absolutely not.
Let's teach kids how to have financial freedom, right?
Financial freedom. Even if you become an engineer, even if you go work for a corporation, you need to understand how to balance your checkbook and invest properly so you can retire. Because the companies aren't going to sit down and teach you this stuff.
Yeah, and it's about having endless potential. I had a student who was like, Miss Tessa, why am we learning about real estate? And I'm like, well, why do you think we're learning about real estate? She's like, all I want to do is become a nurse someday. And I'm like, okay, well, you can become a nurse, and that's great. That's your passion. You should do that. But then how do you become financially free where you don't have to be a nurse? You could do whatever you want, right?
You could truly enjoy being a nurse.
Yes.
You can choose to be a nurse.
You're not there because you're tied with the golden handcuffs, right? You're there because you want to be there. So that's what we want to teach kids, is that freedom opportunity and how to leverage and grow, right?
This is amazing. Okay, I'm so in love with this.
Yeah, I wanted to show you this. This is our motto at Innovate, and it says, we are creative, strong, and fearless. We work hard and play hard. We innovate and excite. We learn and grow from our experiences and are unafraid to make mistakes. Life is not always easy, but we are empowered to take on the challenge. And I think that encompasses exactly what we're about, right?
Oh my gosh.
We are not afraid to make mistakes.
I was telling Ben this morning, I said, you know what perfection is? It's the joyful pursuit of progress through intentional failure. Meaning I'm going after things that I know I'm going to fail at so I can learn intentionally and have a joyful smile on my face as I'm doing it. Like, this is so fun. I get to learn all this stuff. This is so cool. That is perfection.
Yeah.
And this is so great. We are creative, strong, fearless. We work hard and we play hard. We innovate and excite. We learn and grow from our experiences and are unafraid to make mistakes. Good luck in public school. Like, guys, are you kidding me? You get graded over making mistakes and not making mistakes. You should be encouraged to make mistakes.
Yeah. That's the only way humans learn, is by making mistakes, right? That's literally how our synapses fire in our brain and make connections. We have to make mistakes, right, to be able to grow. Yeah, this is the Boise skyline.
This is really cool.
Don't call it Boise, though.
So what else do we have up here on this floor?
Okay, so this is all elementary. Again, this is the whole elementary building.
How do we get on the roof?
Do you want to get on the roof?
Do you guys want to get on the roof? I always wanted to get on the roof at my own school, but you can do that at public schools when you pay a tuition. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yes. Look at us, dude. We're on top of the roof. This is where the naughty kids would come sneak up here and do stuff. When you first started this, what were your first, how did you afford to even start in that first little yellow building?
So myself and our partners, we each put in $30,000. So it was $90,000 that we put in.
So there's three partners.
There's a fourth one too, but she was, we put her in as headmaster. So she was our implementer, right? So we had the visionaries and the implementer. We each put in the $30,000, and we really poured that into the curriculum and renovating our building right away. So it was a little tiny yellow one-room schoolhouse, and we turned the garage into classrooms, and we had a breezeway, and we closed it in.
Did you have a vision for it to ever be like this?
Yeah, so my goal was always to franchise it, right? So that we own the real estate and then we can have operators be able to take our curriculum and run their own schools.
So where would be your first market you'd open up after Boise?
I would love to see us go to Arizona first.
Why Arizona?
You know, I love Arizona for a lot of reasons, but they have the voucher system down there. And so, I mean, you are familiar with Arizona. You live down there, right? You have amazing schools on every corner there, right? With that, you're taking your tax dollars and you can go wherever you want, right? So you have so many more opportunities of kids of every stage of life being able to come into your school and not really just glean from one demographic.
If I'm in Arizona, I could use my voucher to go to a public school that's based on business?
Yes, you could. You could take your money anywhere.
How much is that voucher?
I'm not familiar with how much it is in Arizona.
So
we're trying to do it here in Idaho.
Let's say your tuition is $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
Undercharged, by the way, completely undercharged. For me, I know it's a struggle for a lot of the parents that are doing this, but think about when I mean, you already have thought about it. This was your vision. You're bringing kids after a tuition of, let's say, $100,000 over their lifetime. You're bringing millions and millions and millions of dollars into their life through relationships and skills that they'll never forget and they'll never lose, which is amazing. But let's say that I'm in Arizona and you open up a school there. I have a voucher. Let's hypothetically say my voucher is $3,000. I would then have to come in with the other $7,000 to make up the difference. Okay, got it.
So here in Idaho, what they're proposing is like a $6,000 or $7,000 voucher system. It hasn't passed, but they're trying to. I know our Attorney General is trying to do that. So that's really exciting. But
that would overwhelm you guys probably, because now you're basically telling a family that otherwise couldn't afford the tuition. You're saying, hey, your tax dollars, we're going to give them to you in a voucher form, and that can be a down payment on the tuition here.
Yeah.
So you basically make it super affordable for a lot more people.
Yeah. So, and it makes a lot of competition in the market.
But something's got to change. Like something has to dramatically change. You look at education systems outside of the United States, we are getting our asses beat. It is night and day difference between what's going on. Like Korea, when I lived in Korea, those kids are going to school all day long. Their public schools are pouring into them. Yeah. They have after school programs to teach them English, and they say, you have to learn English because you're gonna have an English job, or you're gonna be collaborating with people in America. You're gonna learn piano, you're gonna do this, you're gonna learn things through kinesthetic learning and all this kind of stuff. Kids go to school till 9 o'clock at night in Korea. Our kids go to get early day off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they get fed a Lunchable and a bag of Cheetos and say, have fun, tell your mom that she needs to fill out this paperwork.
Yeah. How can we be innovative, right? And that's really the bottom line is, how can we be innovative to be higher performers,
more successful? It has to be for profit.
It has to be for profit. It really does. Because that's the only way we can be competitive and say, you know what, I'm not as good as the next school. We have to raise our standards, and we have to invest more into our programs to be able to compete with the school next door.
The smart people in the world, the innovators of the world, the visionaries of the world have to be driven and motivated to do something cool like this. You're not going to do this for free.
No,
because
right?
you could do anything else. Heaven forbid this woman just say, I'm going to homeschool my kids and take all these amazing ideas and just homeschool and keep all these great ideas just for her family. Thank this woman for coming to the masses and going, I want to franchise this. I want to be a part of the solution instead of complaining about the problem. All right, so Tessa, just to touch base on a lot of things we've already touched base on, reiterate them, I should say. You put down your core principles. You're in McDonald's, which says a lot about a mother that's like, I'm going to be in here watching my kids at a playground because I'm on a budget. I've got things going on. I'm multitasking, but I have a dream, and I'm not going to let how busy I am stop me. Yeah. So you write it all down. You're in McDonald's. You go, okay, who's the first phone call you make?
It was my husband, right?
Okay, you call AJ.
I call AJ, and I'm like, AJ, I want to make a school, right? We started a nonprofit right away because we really thought about how we wanted to organize this, right? And so we sat down and we really thought about, what would be best for the school, especially to make that longevity.
Why do you make it a nonprofit?
So we have the opportunity then to get donations, right? Okay. And so there is a ratio for schools to be running like a private school. It's like a 60-40. So 60% is tuition and 40% is donations.
Okay.
So that's something we keep in mind.
So do people donate currently?
Yes, people do donate currently.
Who are the types of donors? You don't need to say who they are, but who are the types of donors? Like businesses?
So it's mostly our stakeholders, our students' families, right? And grandparents. So they believe in our school and they want it to succeed, and so we try to donate for certain programs, and they rally for the school.
If I'm a kid, I go to the school, will I have a hard time getting into college?
No, we are accredited.
Okay.
So that was really important to us, is to have a accredited high school and a school. So,
Who does the accreditation?
our headmaster. So we went through Cognia, which is one of the biggest accreditation bodies. So if our high schoolers wanted to move to a different state or something, and we were not accredited, and they were a freshman and they halfway through the year, they would lose all those credits.
Wow.
And so they would have to repeat all of that again. So we did not want to put our students in any kind of predicament like that. So accreditation was really important to us.
Okay, great. So now you make the call to AJ. AJ says, let's start an entity. Ends up being a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Who are your next calls that you make?
So, I mean, I rallied with my partners, Megan Stevens, April Dillon, and Gloria Nagel.
And why were they your choice of partners?
So they were other parents at the school that we were going at, and
were you guys kind of going back and forth and saying, this isn't
Yeah.
what we want more, our kids aren't learning what they should be learning?
Yeah, I presented this to them, and I'm like, I know we can do this. I know we can make this for our whole community, right? And they're like, okay, well, this sounds crazy, but let's do it, right? So we thought even like, let's do it in April's garage. And it was like, no, this has to be for the whole community.
This is cool. So what I take from that is that a visionary comes up with an idea, believes in it so much that she's willing to pick up the phone, not just create an entity, but like move forward, call her friends and rally them, motivate them, lead them down a path that they all buy in the vision. They go, yeah, this is crazy. But if it works out, it's going to benefit all of us. And if it doesn't work out, at least we had fun along the way and we got to hang out with each other.
Yeah.
Was that kind of the attitude?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we teach our students here too, is that vivid vision concept, right? So I teach the kids, how do you create a vision for people to follow you, right? And so we even go down to the micro level of how do you create a vision for your life that you want to follow as well. So we teach our kids how to go to the steps of how to really create that step by step, what you want your life to look like, and be excited about that life, right?
I didn't get that in high school, guys. I did not get that in high school. My gym teacher taught me how to trade stocks. And I asked him, I go, what are your favorite stocks? He goes, oh, I don't invest in stocks. And I was like, I've taken this for an entire semester.
Yeah.
And I'm learning from my gym teacher who's never invested in stocks. That was my introduction to stocks. So,
but life by design, right?
Right.
Let's do what we want and have those passions and have those hobbies and everything that goes into life, right? It's not just a one-dimensional life, right? We're so much more than that. And let's teach our students that you are multidimensional. And I had a limited mindset when I graduated high school, right? I'm like, well, I'm an adult now. I guess all my childhood dreams have to be put behind me, and I'm not going to dance anymore. And I'm gonna, I'm just gonna hit the road and just start. Why did I think that? Why did I think I couldn't have
now you
passions and like?
You got me thinking. That's exactly how it was for me. It was like time to go to work, time to pick up the shovel, time to dig the ditch. Yeah. I'm not allowed to hang out with my friends anymore and do fun things and stay out late at night and do the things that I want to do. I immediately turned it off like a switch.
Yeah, work hard, play hard, right?
It wasn't until I was like 29 that I luckily ran into a couple of people that were living life by their design. Mm-hmm. Because somebody else taught them to do that, and I'm like, ooh, this is kind of infectious.
Right.
I can do this too. We can hang out. I can make money and do things that are fun and do it with people that are honest and good. And it's none of the things that you're doing are any of the things that I learned how to do in any school.
Yeah.
So like, you design the curriculum. You're in the small building. You guys all put 90 grand in. You upgrade. How did you get from there to here?
So we went to an auction and we bought another building, right? And it was full of conspiracy theories. And I kind of told you the story about our second building. And so that was our second location that we went to. And it was an old historic location, and it had 2 buildings on the property. So we went from 1 to 3 buildings. And the next year I'm like, guys, I'm just always hungry. I'm always pushing the team. I'm like, it's time. We got to expand again, right? So I'm like, this year we're doing portables, right? So I put 2 portables on the property. So now we have 3 buildings and 2 portables. And I'm like, okay, now it's time. This building came on the market. It's time. We have to have a high school.
How did you see this? Like, how did this pop up on your radar?
So, I mean, I had people looking for me all the time, right?
So you had a real estate agent basically bring this to you?
Well, it was actually like a friend, Rock Pillion.
Shout out Rock Pillion.
Rock. So Rock is somebody who has always helped and mentored our students too. And this was a kid who at 19 years old, he was living in like a trailer, and he's like, I want more out of my life. And he was a hungry kid. And so him and AJ hooked up, and again, it's that mentor process, right? And he wanted to make t-shirts, and AJ's like, no, this can be more. It can be more. So he taught him house hacking, and Rock built it from house hacking to his company at Gym Reapers. And now Gym Reapers is a huge company. And it's just, again, he was able to have that mentor to be able to skyrocket him into success, right?
Okay, so Rock finds the building.
Rock found the building.
He knew you were looking.
My partner and I, Megan, we were going back and forth. We're like, how are we going to finance this building? How are we going to do it? So I made a huge presentation to AJ. I'm like, maybe his company would invest in it. So I made a huge presentation, and they're like, this sounds great. But Megan, she never revealed this information, but her family has a charter school company in which they invest. There's companies that will help schools invest to be able to get their buildings up and running. And we're like, well, let's do it. So her company looked at it, and we met all the metrics. And so with the goal of bonding in mind, and when you bond a school, there's so many benefits from it, right? So
what does bonding a school mean?
So you get benefits from the nonprofit, right? So when you bond a school, you don't have to put any money down. There's no personal guarantee.
When you get a loan.
And it's a loan, right? But you get different ratings, right, with this. So there's a lot of advantages, and it's a 30-year loan, and it's being paid by the school. So as an owner, that's a huge
So
benefit.
the school owns the real estate.
The school, how we can do it.
So you have a management company own the real estate.
Who would own the real estate as an LLC, and because the tenant is a nonprofit, they are on the note as well, and they are paying the lease over the course of the 30 years. So it gets complicated if the tenant is no longer paying the lease, but it's a really cool concept.
So that's how you guys bought the building.
That's how
when
we
did you
bought the
move
building.
in?
So we moved in 2022 in February, and I moved to
So
school.
you've been here barely a year.
Barely a year, yeah. So we just finished our first full year into it. And it was an amazing school year for our kids. Being able to have so much more space.
Well, you guys had kids that were probably in the first building that watched you go to the second, and then they watched you also go to the third, which teaches them progression. That teaches them to push, and that expect change.
Yeah. And there's always growth pains, right? Growing pains, it always happens. But we're so excited for this next step. So this next year, we have a new headmaster for our middle school and high school. And, we have amazing programs that we're going to be putting in this year, and it's super exciting.
I want to hear about those.
Yeah.
Before we get there. That'll be the last thing we talk about.
Okay, sounds good.
What are the negative things? Like, what are the? I'm sure you get like people in the neighborhood or in the city that they don't like this.
Yeah. So.
Is it the teachers? Is it the school district? Who doesn't like something like this?
We met a lot of adversity starting the school because we started during COVID. Right before COVID, we had a good few months before it all hit the fan, right? And we were faced with that challenge of are we shutting down? What are we gonna do?
Yeah, right? They should have shut down, guys. They should have just gave up when COVID hit. They should have just waved the flag and said we give up.
So, when COVID first started, we were like, no, we're going to go harder, right? So, but when nobody else was going to school, we were having our kids, we were doing these little boxes that we'd send the kids, and we're still doing Shark Tank, right? We're still doing all these things, and we're having our kids do life skills, and they're making soup, and we were still going super hard, right? And then the next school year, when everyone was still shut down, we're like, no, we're going to be in person, and we're going to make sure our kids are going to be taken care of. We're seeing that huge gap from all these kids who weren't able to go to school.
Yeah, they fell behind.
It's really hard, and these kids are struggling socially, emotionally, right, educationally. It's really hard for the whole world, right? We all know.
So you had people basically judging you guys.
Yeah.
The judgy McJudgersons were judging you guys in the way you were operating that. But from a school perspective, by itself, do people criticize the way you have the curriculum set up?
So when we bought this building, the headmaster sat us down. He said he loved the model, but he said he was coming after us. He was like, I don't believe in competition, and I don't believe in what you guys are doing, but I know your model is amazing. And he's like, after I'm done with this school, he's like, I'm going to come after you guys and do a business school. And we're like, bring it. That's awesome. We love competition, right? But it was shocking how he was like,
almost cutthroat.
So that was an interesting conversation.
Was he, so
him.
you're talking about the headmaster that was in the school that you bought before? And then when you guys bought this building, you ended up having a sit down with him. He wasn't on staff with you.
No, we walked through the school with him. He was showing us the different keys and everything, and he sat down with me and Megan, and it was an interesting conversation. You know, there's this traditional way of doing things, right? And when you go against the grain, people don't want to see that. You know, teachers unions.
I love how creative you guys have gotten.
Yeah.
And speaking of getting creative, kind of going against the grain, what is 3 to 5 sets of curriculum you guys are coming out, classes or programs you guys are coming out with that are really, really fun for kids?
So, of course, we're always going to be continuing our Shark Tank. That is such a cornerstone of our school, creating businesses and be able to present them and do negotiations with real sharks and everything. It's such a cool program. But we're going to be expanding more of our business program. And we have this really cool one that's coming out that's a record label. So all the kids are going to be like C-suites or head of marketing, head of accounting, head of design, right? And they actually have to make a whole record album and then market it, do all the design work for it, and it's a full business that they're creating. So it's super cool, while they're learning music along the way.
We do that stuff all the time in our business, right? A new product comes out, an event comes out, whatever it is, you have to learn how am I going to brand it? What are we going to call it? How are we going to package it? How are we going to make it appealing to the consumer? And then how do we launch it? Actually, how do I tease the market that it's going to come out so I build demand before it does come out? Then when it does come out, how do I make a strong push to sell the product? That's what you guys are essentially doing.
Yeah, and it's really cool because that program is really student driven, right? So they're coming to the table and saying, okay, we have our team here, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this, but how are we going to work together as a team to be able to create this product? So it's a really cool opportunity for these students.
What's the future of this business look like for you guys?
So, I mean, we're gonna fill this building. So we just have a few more spots filling up the rest of our high school.
How many spots do you have? How many people can you have here?
We can have 400. We have 300 here now. So we took a chance when we started the high school, and we were like, we're starting with sophomores and freshmen, right? And high schools are kind of hard to fill because it's brand new.
Well, they've already gone to other schools.
They've already gone to schools.
And so now what you're doing is you're telling the parents, like, hey, take them out of the traditional where all their friends are and they're what they're used to, and pull them out of it, and it's going to be a culture shock.
Yes.
And so what happens is you probably have a really hard time getting those people to come to the school because you almost have to cultivate your students to be the sophomores and juniors, right?
Yeah. But you know, when they do come here, it feels like home for these kids. One of our biggest complaints that we've always had is that kids don't want to go home. They want to hang out. They don't want summer break. They're just like, we want to be here. This is our home. We are so comfortable here, and we're so excited about learning every day here. And that's the kind of atmosphere that when I was writing down on the paper, I'm like, I want the kids to have a joy of learning, and I want them to be happy every day.
Look forward to going to school.
Look forward to going to school. And my daughter's experience before is like she'd be at a birthday party and she'd be having tears running down her cheeks because she was so worried about going to school on Monday. And I'm like, I never want that for my daughter. I never want that learning hurts your heart. Going to school and that journey is a painful journey. It should never be that way. Right. Our kids should love learning and have a long life of learning, right?
Right. I've been so impressed by everything you're doing. I can see where you're going. Like, as a visionary myself, I can see where this is going to go. And I was complaining about this 10 years ago myself, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago. My wife and I are sitting there talking about where are we going to take our daughters. And the conversation with people of means, people who have money, is private, homeschool. Combination of those, like, I'm going to bring a tutor to the house or whatever it is, traveling tutor or whatever, depends on who you are. And my wife and I just haven't agreed on it. But I look at this, I'm like, my wife wants something where there's a building. Yeah. I want something where I never drop my kids off at a building. And the reason being is because all I'm used to is the old traditional methods. Yeah. I would happily drop my kids off here every day. You're going to teach my kids business? oh my gosh, you're going to teach my kids how to balance a checkbook. You're going to teach my kids how to work with other kids and ultimately mentor them. And you're going to teach my kids how to be a leader when I drop you off. What's happening right now, I drop my kids off at school and they're learning from people. No intentional offense, but this is just how I feel. My kids are learning from people that are made decisions to not get into business. And I want my kids to learn from people and mentors that you guys are bringing from the outside world that are actively doing business, and they should leave high school with options.
Yeah. And be able to understand that there's just so much more than just this limited viewpoint, right? You can do so much more with your life, right? And it's that life by design. And that's our core that we want our kids to. Critical thinkers and life by design.
Tessa Osborne, everybody. She's absolutely phenomenal. I plan on filming a bunch of other things today, but this was the most interesting thing I've encountered in a couple of years. I have friends that have big businesses. I have buddies that are billionaires. And I'm more impressed by what you've created than all of them.
Well, thank you so much. It's, we were talking about we love the journey, and it's a hard journey, but it's worth it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for choosing to do hard things.
Thanks.
I appreciate you. Guys, where can people learn about your school at least?
Go to www.innovateacademyprep.com, and we also Innovate Academy Prep is our handle, I believe, for Instagram, so you can follow all the school ongoings there. I actually became private a while ago out on my Instagram.
Oh, really? That's fine.
Yeah.
Guys, if you are in Arizona or you're in Idaho, where she hopefully is going to open soon, make a comment down below if this is somewhere that you would send your kids. I know that if Tessa goes out to Arizona, my wife and myself will get behind it. We'll send our kids there. And that's the other thing too, last thing I'll say, I want my kids hanging out with other kids that have parents that believe in this type of atmosphere. And so right now I'm sending my kids to, Asher goes to a public school, and there's no filtering mechanism. There's no filtering mechanism of what are the core values here? What are we trying to do? What it is just a bunch of boxes that they're trying to check, and they go, we just basically want to get you out of school so that you're no longer our responsibility. Goodbye. Thank you for not stabbing anybody in the neck with a pencil. Goodbye. Yeah. I want my kids going to a place where the parents are on the other side, whether they're Democrat, Republican, I don't care what they are, but they want their kids to be critical thinkers. I want them to be doers. I want them to be givers. And I know your school is actually a filter for all of that. Parents are not going to send their kids here if they don't have those ideals in mind.
And it's constantly working towards that goal, right? And always having that is our mission.
If you want to see part 2 interview, you guys want to see us deep dive the financials, and maybe I could have her on a live podcast. This actually is a money-making endeavor. Am I allowed to say that?
I mean, we are dead positive. I mean,
they have money at the bank, guys. They're killing it. Yeah. And if you guys are business operators and you look at this and go, I would love to franchise this. Would you guys are thinking about franchising?
Yeah,
this?
that's one of our goals, making it a franchise.
Going nationwide.
Nationwide.
That would be epic. Guys, if you wanted to run a franchise, make a comment down below. We'll have her come back and we'll do a whole deep dive podcast where we'll do it live in front of, usually I get about 1,000 people show up to my lives on YouTube. Wow. And they'll just pepper you with great questions.
That's awesome. Let's go.
See you guys soon.